Maybe Chris did something. Maybe Amanda came back. Who knows? But someone was just screaming a few seconds ago. I'm trying to put my shoes back on. Airing out my feet. Yeah, what does Chris always say? You probably heard him on my channel at least a dozen times saying he says cops are bad. He doesn't like cops and so on and so on. Well, he does a lot, actually. Now, with that Amanda lady, Chris was claiming that she, oh, there's somebody screaming again. As a guy, we're taught that we're supposed to jump to attention every time that happens. One of the things that really sucks for me is being stuck in public. And a lot of people, especially late at night, especially youngins, do a lot of their messing around in public places. Obviously, I don't hold any animosity towards any of them. I'm not a fan of the racism, though. I'll tell you that. I tell them that, too. As Chris, whatever happens with Amanda, I hope that Chris and his family are safe. Nobody cares if my family's safe. Nobody but me. And as far as my friends go, I seem to be the only one that cares about them too. Many of them don't even seem to care about themselves or their families. Yep, City of Tillamook Police. Hopefully everything's alright. But one of the things is, with Chris telling me about people pulling guns on him, I think that's something you should go to the police about. And when someone, even if it's your ex, is talking about killing themselves and your kids, that's also something that I agree with going to the cops about. He was also saying that they tend to mess with him, so either or. For me, trying to find a safe place and basically being stuck everywhere that I go, I gotta try to get something started there. I don't get it. If a crime is committed against a tourist, why should the tourist have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops to live there in that state in order to turn in crimes committed against him? It doesn't make any sense. Well, it makes complete sense when you think about it from a monetary point of view. These police get money for kicking us over to the mental health. Mental health gets money for telling us to go back to the police. They all happen to be referral services now. What that means. And that's why people don't pretend that I'm loud. This town is super loud. A lot of people like really big vehicles. When I say it's too loud for me to be able to function, people just don't get that. They don't understand that being autistic is not the same as being schizophrenic or delusional or any of that. It's a matter of being overwhelmed. In most of our situations, it's because of PTSD or CPTSD. Some people believe that CPTSD is childhood post-traumatic stress disorder, and that's not the case. CPTSD means it's complex. It means it usually started in childhood, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's from childhood. In a lot of these situations where I've been abused, it's because people wanted to pretend that the trauma that I was enduring wasn't real. That Natalie Bollinger wasn't dead. That her father wasn't the POS that he was. Even though I had verification from her very own family. But nobody wanted to look at that. Least of all police. And anybody that I told about the police interaction, as Megan Messigatis pointed out, she said, you do well until you tell them that there was police involved and they ignore you. So maybe you should pretend the police part didn't exist. Well, I can't do that. They screwed up. And everyone screws up. But the rest of us are expected to fess up to it. When these officers are busted red-handed, what they rely on is their ability to use their positions to prevent you from being heard over and over and over again. Now, how do we stop that abuse? How do we protect our loved ones from that kind of abuse? Over and over and over, I show you proof of female predators, including the predators in my life that are females. I try to show you that it's complicated, but it's not beyond reason to do the right thing. It's the fact that the longer you take to make a stand, the more the victim has to just take it. The more law enforcement blows us off to the hospitals, and the hospitals blow us off to law enforcement. The hospitals just assume that law enforcement is telling the truth. And law enforcement, well, if they ask for something, the hospitals generally give it to them. And that's a horrible thing to have to live through. You can't tell on a bad cop, everyone's on their side. And that sounds paranoid, but really it's the reality of the situation. People with like minds help like-minded people. Case in point, Christians, Muslims, Jews. Police officers, women, black folks. The problem with autism is that most of us don't have any representatives that are autistic. The ones we do have speak up at shows, and they, of course, have help with all the computer stuff that they need. For me, I'm told to buy this stuff. If I buy this stuff, people will show me how to use it. I got to travel here to learn how to use it. I got to travel there to learn how to use it. And then, of course, I get people getting a hold of me and telling me that my loved ones are missing. People who would help me out are missing. But nobody knows where these people are, and I'm supposed to just ignore it and worry about myself. With all the people that let me know that their lives and their families' lives were being threatened. You know, there's no right thing to do at that point. You go to the cops, they ignore you and tell you to ignore it. Or they tell you to go to mental health. Mental health sends you around in circles. It's stupid. Hopefully there won't be any issues tonight. That's what I hope for every night. I don't always get it, but some nights I do. There's even a couple of nights there where they didn't do a whole bunch of that. squirming around in their vehicles loud as they possibly can. Anyway, I'm cold and tired. My money every month doesn't last for what it's supposed to. And my back payments were supposed to be able to be used to help me to have all the things that I need to be able to take care of myself. But those things never happened. They never came to fruition. Instead, it was me spending all of my disability money going to see people who are supposed to help out the disabled, for them to tell me to go to someone else. Every one of them tells me to go to someone else. It's always someone else's job. They're all mandated reporters. They just didn't want to do their jobs. I was only disabled when it benefited them, and when it didn't benefit them, magically I wasn't disabled for some odd reason. How does that work? Well, I guess that phone died. So I'll have to charge it up a little bit. I do wish I was in a better world. People were nicer to each other. Where being different was cherished instead of marked as a blemish on your record. How dare you be different? How dare you be different? There we go. Plugging in electronics. I'm only 42. Everything shouldn't hurt all the friggin' time. Let's see how much charge I have on this phone. Man, there's a lot of stuff popped up in my... I have a news thing that shows what the recent news is and all the most popular news feeds. CNN, Fox News, all that kind of stuff. I don't know how to remove it from my phone, but it keeps me up to date on what's currently popular. Doesn't mean it's true, it just means it's popular. Knowing what's popular in this country, I'm pretty well disgusted by it. On the bright side, there's a way to at least close my windows and pretend some of this crap doesn't exist. Some of these mean people don't exist. Some of these don't exist. Some of these racists don't exist. I'm also in a racist town full of racists, in a parking lot that the racist people's kids hang out in. But it's one of the few places where I have been allowed to stay. There's a lot of people here who don't have any faith in the cops. And from what I've seen, it's for good reason. They take care of their own here for sure, no matter how crooked. On the bright side, I at least speak out, not that anyone's gonna listen. That cop left about 20 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, something like that. He wasn't here too terribly long. Obviously, he had other things to do, and he wasn't here to see me. It might have been about the Amanda situation. Of course, whenever I've tried to turn in people threatening my life or pulling weapons on me, nobody gave a shit. Oh, dude, just ignore it, just ignore it, just ignore it, just ignore it. I don't see how they believe that's even such a possibility in many cases. Probably because they're not there to experience it. Them youngins are probably hoot and holler all night. And here I am complaining like an old person, right? That was pretty rhymy-dimey. Anyway, when it comes to youngins, it is all of our responsible to train them right and teach them right. But people can't agree on which right is the right. Doesn't that sound crazy? Just like no two Christians can agree exactly on what Jesus in school actually means. We got Christians burning down Christian churches. And then we're told that's not representative of all Christians, but it seems to be in the history of them. To destroy themselves and others over petty squabbles. History of humanity, I suppose. But we're supposed to be in this golden enlightened age, right? Except we're slipping backwards. Our education is slipping backwards. The intelligence of our youth, their usable knowledge, their ability to thrive and survive without dependency on a government. I'm not saying there's no place for any form of government. Family-oriented governments do just fine in just about any sort of terrain. But what do we have going on? Do we have a family-oriented society, or is it every man for himself? And we're teaching white people this too. So before you go saying, hey, all us white people are sticking together, no, we're not. Depends on how popular you are. And there's those girls streaming again. I think that's their favorite game. I don't get it. There's other sounds a person can make. No means no. I get out and I check to see if everyone's alright over and over again every time this happens. Never turns out to be anything. But just in case, I always look. There we go. Found me some headphones so I can get me some peace and friggin' quiet. Hopefully I get left alone. No guarantees of that though. Like I said. Oh. Oh. Oh, so like I said, I wish them youngins the best. I just don't agree with the racist rhetoric. Past my bedtime anyway. I might keep this going a few more minutes. What the hell? Well, everything seems alright. Fucking A, that takes a lot out of me. Be nice if I wasn't such a sissy, right? Anyway, there's not likely to be much more exciting tonight other than kids screaming. I'm gonna try to sleep over it because I'm pretty exhausted.